Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and let's take a look at the forecast, which is cold and snowy. And I know that's shocking, being a little facetious there, but of course that brutal cold does continue for your day today. Light snow for us tonight, but I'm a little concerned that we could see some localized bands put down a good 3-4 inches in a few spots. I'll explain that in just a second. Sunshine finally returns for your day tomorrow. All right, current wind chills outside at this point. Some spots in eastern Colorado are approaching -20 with those wind chills, and it's a lot warmer in the mountains. But that southwest flow that's leading the temperatures or wind chills, and this is the number, again, I've been emphasizing this for the last few days. The wind chill is the number that matters. That is what you actually feel on your skin outside as you step outside. And that wind chill, again, sub-zero in many cases across eastern parts of Colorado. Current air temperatures right now, we're in the single digits, if not below zero at this point in eastern Colorado. It's much warmer in the mountains, which might feel a little bit weird, but that is because we're getting southwest flow, and that is pumping in not only moisture into the mountains, but it's also bringing with it some relatively mild temperatures for this time of year. And our Arctic air mass is confined to the plains. It can't get up and over the mountains. Just a little basic Meteorology 101 for you, unsolicited Meteorology 101 for you. Cold air is denser, it is heavier than warm air, so it can't easily go up and over mountain ranges. So as a result of that, the eastern plains are much colder this week because the origin source of that cold air is the plains, so the cold air just can't climb over the mountains and make its way into the mountains. Current air temperatures, now that you got that in mind, a lot of single digits for us here into the plains, -4 for our friends in the Netherlands. But then as soon as you climb over the continental divide, as I mentioned, getting that cold air can't penetrate the mountains, so it's 26 in Silverthorne. Current wind chills, I just showed you that. That's redundancy. All right, how about this for us here in Denver? 40 of the past 41 hours here in the Mile High City, we've had a sub-zero wind chill starting on 6 p.m. on Monday and until 10 a.m. today. Yeah, sub-zero wind chills will continue, and we've probably got another 18 to 24 hours of sub-zero wind chills to go before we finally start to warm on up later tomorrow. Now, as far as the snow, we've had some of that around for us here in Denver. We're at officially 1.6 inches of snowfall so far from our event here in Denver over the last few days. Most of us, though, about 2 to 4 inches, especially in the west side of town. The mountains, though, getting socked. 33 inches and counting in Purgatory in southwestern Colorado. A lot of foot-plus snowfall totals in the mountains over the last few days. That is great news. We'll have more on that in the next couple of hours. But in Denver, a little bit of a lull in the action for now. I do think as we get into the mid to late part of the afternoon, we'll get a little infusion of low-level moisture. That should, for the evening drive, lead to slick conditions. So anticipate a slick evening commute tonight with generally light snowfall, but again, we could be talking about a slick drive tonight and perhaps tomorrow morning as well. So let's take a look at the forecast. The mountains all day long, it's going to be snowing, it's going to be pretty heavy at times, but that moisture kind of gradually works east. And by the time we get into this afternoon and this evening, some of that snow makes its way onto the plains. So Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, we do get some of that snow into the picture out our way along the urban I-25 corridor this evening and tonight. And then our final band of snow works its way on through tomorrow morning. And then finally, we could say goodbye, arrivederci, adieu to all of this long, snowy, and cold weather. Now, closer look in here. 6, 7 o'clock tonight, we're going to have snow showers around. Most of them, like that snow's been over the last few days, it's going to be pretty light in nature. But there will be enough snow on the roadways this evening that I do think we're going to have a slick drive home from work, assuming you're in the office today. Slick drive home from wherever it is you are this afternoon. If you're going to the Rapids game tonight, it's going to be a slick drive out there to Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And then finally, again, by this evening and early tomorrow morning, we should see the last snow band pivot its way through the area. That is the actual trough of low pressure leaving us. And that is also basically our trough of low pressure that's been keeping us so cloudy and so cold for the last few days. That's basically it, waving goodbye later on tomorrow morning. And then finally, the sun will come on out about midday or so tomorrow. And we're finally, again, going to be breaking out of this prolonged cold and snowy stretch. All right, snowfall totals. This is going to be a bit interesting for us. So, as I mentioned, most of us here in the Denver area picked up about 2 to 5 inches of snow so far. I do think we've got a widespread 1 to maybe 3 inches to go, but notice up into northern Colorado. Take a look at that up there in northern Colorado. Fort Collins, Greeley, 3, 4, 5 inches. Don't pay attention to the exact numbers, but notice that little band in there, and that is, and I've been saying this for the last few days, it's a very tricky forecast because where we get these localized bands that put down a quick inch or two of snow in an hour, that's where we're going to end up with some of those higher end snowfall totals. And those are very, again, full transparency here, folks. They're really hard to pick out in advance where exactly those bands are going to be. They're often 10, maybe 20 miles wide. So it's kind of similar to lake effect snow, where you get these, again, localized bands of this heavy snowfall. They're hard to predict exactly where they're going to set on up. So long story short, expect, generally speaking, 1 to 3 additional inches of snowfall on top of what we've already seen, with the potential for a few spots to get a bit more than that. Looks like northern Colorado and also the foothills could be favored for some of those higher end totals from this. Forecast today, some breaks of sunshine. We see those clouds and that snow fill back in mid to late afternoon with, again, I would anticipate a slick commute. Tonight, temperatures drop back into the single digits. There is light snow overnight tonight and also into the early morning hours tomorrow. A lot of sub-zero lows tonight in the eastern plains and also into the mountains. Tomorrow, it's 24 degrees. Break out the Hawaiian shirts, break out the shorts. We're actually going to be above 20 degrees for the first time in 3 days. It's going to feel probably not that bad, considering that, yes, we do have temperatures that are still below freezing, but we'll have some sunshine. We maybe even see a little bit of melting during the afternoon hours, but it's finally going to be a bit more tolerable compared to our extremely cold stretch. -7 this morning here in Denver. Tomorrow, 22 degrees again. It's going to probably feel like Maui compared to where we've been over the last few days. Tomorrow, temperatures again spiking into the mid-20s for us around the metro area. And as I mentioned, I think we do have the potential for about another 1 to 3 inches worth of additional snowfall. And then as we get into the middle of next week, look at that. 50s and 60s. That is going to feel absolutely wonderful for those of us who've been, all of us who've been cooped up forcibly by Mother Nature indoors for the last few days. We can finally go back outside and enjoy temperatures that, well, are a bit more, I think for most of us, of course, weather and temperature is subjective, but I think all of us are pretty excited to get back into the 50s and 60s by Sunday and into early mid part of next week, and we should melt off most of the snowfall really by the end of the weekend. So continuing that pattern of snow, and then we warm up, and then snow, and then warming back up. And by the way, of course, next week, it is the start of March, which is on average Denver's snowiest month, and it's also the start of meteorological spring, which means absolutely nothing for the state of Colorado. So with that in mind, 7-day forecast, that's a lot better, I would imagine, compared to where we have been. Thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. Meteorologist Danielle Grant has an update noon on 9 News at noon, and also another forecast at 12:30 as well. And also Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News family of networks. Stay warm, stay safe, and have a great rest of your day.